Master DT here, checking in with Awaken Within YouTube channel. Let's jump right into it. Today we're going to talk about stigma. It's still alive and well. We're also going to be talking about healing and recovery, and of course a few stories from my own experience. Let's jump into the stigma situation. Well, stigma is still alive and well. I think it has gotten a little bit better, and that is only because of the people in the recovery community, as well as overall in the institutions and hospitals, in rehabs and detoxes and the recovery community, as well as recovery coaches, and turning this around is very difficult. You know how we use our verbiage, how we speak about addiction. That has an awful lot to do with it, but it's the other side of it, because we're doing our part, but the other side of it is other people that just don't understand, don't want to understand, have not been educated, and really in that fear-based energy, right? They're anything that we fear, we don't understand, and we don't want to understand. We don't want to pay attention to it. It makes us feel uncomfortable, even though, and here's the other thing, even though it could be a trigger that that may point the finger towards us a little bit or someone in our family. But it's so weird in how we look at mental health and substance use disorder. If you kind of look at both sides here as examples on, someone breaks an arm, goes to the trauma room at the hospital, gets it x-rayed, gets it fixed. All right, it's a little bit different, right? And within 8 weeks, he's better, stuff like that. And I know there's a big difference. There's a lot more moving parts in mental health. I get it, but still, just bear with me a little bit. But all said and done, person that has suffered a heart attack, has had cancer, or anything like this, that has been to any of the great hospitals, especially in Rhode Island, New England, and over the United States, they get treated and they move on. But once someone hears about someone going to a psychiatric hospital or a detox or a rehab or a halfway house or whatever, that's when the stigma really, really hits home. All right. And we already feel bad ourselves if we're going to be going to some of these places to get guidance and some help. Right. We already we have that feeling of guilt and remorse, and we feel embarrassment and feeling ashamed. We already feel that. And we feel some of that, I think, is just because we know how other people feel about this subject, right? And so the stigma is kind of a twisted thing in some ways, right? But when you hear about someone going to a psychiatric hospital, the antennas go up and they shake their head, and then the whispers start, right? Did you hear about so-and-so? And then the negative words start to be used. So-and-so is not right up there, It's a sad thing. And of course, right there with addiction, drug addiction and alcoholism as well. It's funny on how that works, but it sure in hell does not help the person that is looking and seeking for help. It really doesn't, I know for me, it didn't help me at all. If you're in the public's eye like I was and still am, it was very difficult for me. Being a martial artist, master teacher, people look up to you. People think that you're infallible. You're supposed to be perfect, or I thought I was supposed to be perfect anyways, and had a lot of discipline and self-control and self-respect because of, the martial arts training, self-confidence. How would anyone like Master T have a problem with alcohol? And so I felt terrible. I think if people would only knew on what I felt and how I felt and what I had to do to get my butt into an AA meeting. I came up with that idea so many times it's ridiculous, right? I finally got it. And I finally put my tail between my legs and I just went for it, right? And you already know some of this story. But it took an awful lot. And most of it, I was just totally disappointed in myself. I was already disappointed in myself. That's why I was probably drinking, right? So now I really feel, right, that I've really failed myself and everybody. I have to go in an AA meeting, not knowing that it's going to save my life, right? So it was terrible. right? When I went in there, I felt absolutely terrible. I sat in the back of the room. I hid behind a 12-step book, right? I didn't want to get called on. I'd walk out in the middle of the AA group. I was so disgusted with everybody there, and including myself, of course, me first, until I started to get a better idea of how things was. You know, I really did, you know, and same thing I decided was probably one of the best moves I did. When I got into recovery, I thought maybe it would be a good idea to go see a therapist and psychiatrist. That was a big deal for me. I mean, if you're a guy like me, you just don't do that, right? That's the ultimate in failure, right? That's embarrassment, right? But I did go, but I will tell you the truth. You know what I did? For about a month or two, when I was seeing this therapist or psychiatrist, I don't even know who it was, but I used to hide my car in the back of the building, right? I'd wear sunglasses when I went into the office. It was just, I laugh at it, and you're probably laughing at it too now. I laugh at it now. It's like, what was I thinking, right? What was I thinking? I wanted to get help. And other people that may have seen me were going to be getting help also, but I did that. Let's bring it back to the AA meetings. You know, I remember sitting in an AA meeting, and I finally spoke up, and I said something. There was a lot of old timers there, thank God for that. And I said something like, you know, my students see me here. It's like, it's going to be the biggest failure if people know, if my students know that I'm coming here. And they see my car in front of an AA meeting, a church in the middle of the afternoon at an AA meeting. I was beside myself. And I'll leave you with this. That one of the old timers, an older woman, looked at me in her gray hair and said, "Did you ever worry about your students seeing your car in front of some of those bars that you used to hang out to until 1 o'clock in the morning?" She had me at hello. I didn't know how to get out of that one. And so they were incredible philosophers and masters in those halls, and still are, if you catch the right AA meeting, for sure. For sure and heck. So stigma plays in so many different ways, and this is just a few different ideas about stigma. But I know one thing, it can hold people back. People are afraid to walk into certain places, even the recovery center, right? Where we enjoy being together and feeling like we are moving forward in our healing and in recovery, right? Who doesn't want more than that? So why should we feel ashamed about that? Anyways, we're going to continue this subject, and of course, we got some really good videos coming up in a series about different pathways, alternative ways, and holistic ways to feel better. So hope to see you soon. Enjoy your day.